Welcome to the Money Answer Show with host Jordan Goodman. Whether you are starting out, deep into your retirement, or somewhere in between, the Money Answer Show has the know-how to help you. Now here's your host, Jordan Goodman.
TV out of the way.
Welcome to the Money Answer Show. This is Jordan Goodman, your host. My guest this hour is Adam Sos Sosnick. He is an expert in personal finance, particularly relating to baby boomers, well, millennials as well. And welcome to the Money Answer Show, Adam.
Pleasure to be here on the biggest, most popular podcast for financial planning in the industry, Jordan. Thank you.
That is correct. Well, you deserve to be on because you can help people in an awful lot of ways here. So let's just briefly tell your story and how you become the man you become in the world of personal finance, particularly relating to millennials.
Sure. Specifically millennials. Thank you for the high honor. Where do we get started?
With your story. Just kind of tell your story briefly and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. So I guess the best place to start would be in 2006, which was my first year in the financial services industry. So prior to that, growing up in Miami, South Beach, I was in the hospitality and nightlife business. So you can imagine what that was, in the early to mid 2000s. And instead of getting sick of getting paid in cocktails and drinks and all that, I got a job as a cold caller for a financial firm that specialized in life settlements. And I definitely started from the bottom and started to get my feet wet into the financial industry. And then, boom, 2008 happened, and we all know what happened during the recession and everything. And it was really just a jolt and a wake-up call to the system, and especially for millennials, because we were all just kind of entering the workforce, getting our proverbial, stuff together, and the world totally changed. And it definitely made me wake up and become fully immersed in the financial services world. And now I host a show that specifically here is to give back to millennials for what I wish I knew before I got into the financial world.
So your website is SOStalksmoney.com. What can people find at that website to help them improve their personal financial condition?
Sure. So, we're actually launching a new site pretty soon. So initially when I started, backing up a second, I work for a major financial firm that's called Welcome Funds. They specialize in life settlements. It's life insurance and investments and longevity and planning, and that's how I got started. But I started my own show, social media show, Sos Talks Money. So that's the website for that, SOStalksmoney.com. And on there, it's a lot of clips, interviews, celebrities, influencers. That's the website for the show. But what we're starting now is a complete money coaching platform to help millennials get better with money, and that website is sosmoney.life. So there's a couple different things that are going on, but it all started with this show, Sos Talks Money.
Very good. So one of the things you're famous for is what's called the SOS 6, the 6 steps to win with money. So let's just briefly go over what those are and some things people can learn to do better in those areas. The first of the SOS 6 is to budget. So people don't like to budget, but how do you help them budget in a way that'll actually, they'll follow it and get more control of their finances?
Sure. So when I started my show, and I didn't come from a financial background, so I quite candidly never took a money class in high school. And in college, I was in communications and marketing and advertising, didn't know about money. So I literally had to learn from the bottom when I started off as a cold caller, knowing not much. And when I started my show, I started interviewing all the financial advisors that I work with. So it wasn't that I just kind of came up with this SOS 6 all on my own, and this is how it all kind of happened. It was really just through more of a scientific method project, if you will, interviewing anyone and everyone about money. And what I just basically noticed that there were 6 universal themes that just constantly came up. And that's what basically started, or was the rationale for the SOS 6 principles of wealth. And every financial advisor basically said that it all starts with a game plan. And whether you're making 50 grand a year or $500,000 a year, you need to have a game plan, and a budget is a game plan for your money. And what I started realizing, there's a million different budgeting apps, and everyone tells you need to budget, and everyone hates it. So what I've created is something called the SOS Big Budget, where the most important thing within your budget are what I call your big three, and that is your housing, your transportation, and your F&B, which is your food and beverage. So once you can manage those three on a monthly basis, every month, 12 times a year, you're 75% of the way done with your budget. And then everything out after that kind of fills in the blank. But budgeting isn't fun, but I've made it with my system, with these 6 principles of wealth. I'm sort of making it interactive and fun, and it all starts with this game plan. And to wrap that up, what I say is this: the best athlete of our generation, or at least football player of our generation, is Tom Brady. Would you agree?
I would agree.
I mean, it's sort of undeniable. So what I say about budgeting and planning is the Tom Brady analogy, which is Tom Brady isn't the biggest, fastest, or strongest NFL player or quarterback for that matter, but what he does is have a game plan every single game, and he executes. 16 times a year, plus playoffs, plus the Super Bowl, it's 20-something times a year. If you're an everyday American just like me and you and everyone, you have 12 months, 12 budgets a year. It's not that complicated. Once you start doing it, your money will get better from there. And that's what I've come to find out, is that step one, game plan for your money, is a budget. If it's good enough for Tom Brady, it's good enough for me and you.
Are there some specific apps or websites that you recommend that people use to make budgeting easier?
So for budgeting, I use a budgeting app called Mint, and it's helpful for me. And why I like it is because it gives you a big, complete picture of your financial standing. It's not just your monthly budgets. Because the reason people hate budgeting is because it's so tedious. And what I say is that I'm worried about your net worth, not your Netflix. So what Mint enables me to do is really track my entire net worth. It's not once you can get to a point where, we'll get there, I'm sure, in this interview, principle 6 or step 6 is chilling. Once you're chilling with money, tracking your net worth is a very big thing. And tedious budgeting is not fun. So there's a million different budgeting apps. I can go down a list of probably 100 different budgeting apps. They're out there. But you just have to do it. And that's the biggest problem that I've seen in America, is nobody actually wants to sit down and do a budget. It's not fun. It's not cool to budget. But it is principle number one, to have a game plan for your money. And what we've done with the SAVETHATMONEY 6 principles of wealth is we boiled everything down, the 6 steps and 6 principles, and we've made budgeting, this big budget that I put together, more interactive and actually more fun to do.
So that's number 1 is budgeting. Number 2 is debt. So obviously the millennials are known for taking on a huge amount of debt, particularly student loan debt, some credit card debt, mortgages, and so on. So what are some strategies that people can use to either not take on as much debt in the first place or to pay it off faster once they have it?
You're asking about strategies to tackle debt, which is principle number 2. Now, You'd be shocked to know how many millennials I talk to, and I ask them about debt. Some think that there's good debt, which, we can have a whole segment about. I just happen to think debt is intrinsically bad, and then there's bad debt and even worse debt. And the most common question that I ask is, what's the interest rate that you're paying? And the majority of people can't even answer that, Jordan. So if they don't know if they're paying 4% or 8% or 15%, they're already losing. So with, principle 2 within the SAVETHATMONEY 6, we actually make them write down all their debt, student loans, credit card debt, car loans, whatever it is, write the amount and write the interest rate next to it. And the majority of people that do that had no clue really what their debt was, because they kind of want to, kind of keep it off in the distance and not actually own up to it. But when you see on paper, when you're paying 9%, 15%, 24%, it's obnoxious. And the reality of it is that you need to attack it and do something with it. So as far as implementing ways to get out of debt, it's really one of two ways that I've at least uncovered, at least with my, scientific method here, is that there's the debt snowball or the debt avalanche, which I'm sure your viewers or listeners are familiar with. Debt snowball is you start with the smallest debt, start knocking that off, and work your way up to the biggest debt, biggest amount. Debt avalanche is you start with the highest interest rate and work your way down. There's no right or wrong way as long as you're getting after tackling that debt.
And how about taking on debt in the first place, particularly student loans, which is such a big thing for this generation? Are there ways to avoid taking on the amount of student debt that people are taking on these days?
I mean, there has to be, Jordan. There has to be better ways to deal with student debt. And it just, the best thing that I think someone can have to tackle student debt is just a light bulb go off that times have changed, that we're entering 2020. We're not in the 80s and 90s anymore. You don't have to go to college. You can go to a technical school. You can start working and find out what you're passionate about or good at, and then go back to school. So there's no rule that says you have to start college when you're 18 and finish by the time you're 22. There's no rule that says you have to take on 50 grand of student debt. It's BS. So the best thing that young Americans can do is wake the hell up and actually realize that whatever plan they were told to do or their parents told them to do growing up has completely changed. It's 2020. So you have to understand that college is an investment. It's an ROI. And if you actually do get a degree and use it, the numbers show that you're definitely more prone to make more money over your lifetime. But what are you doing? Are you actually getting a degree and using it, or are you just getting a degree for the sake of it and then just doing whatever? So there needs to be way more thought to the process of student loans for sure. It's not just as simple as, I graduate high school, of course I take on debt, of course I go get a useless degree, and of course I end up lost. Times have changed. Time to wake up.
Okay, we're going to take a break. This is Jordan Goodman of the Money Answer Show. My guest this hour is Adam Sos Sosnick. He is a money coach, particularly aimed at millennials. You can find out more at his website, which is sostalksmoney.com. And he's also got a new website called sosmoney.life.com.
Yes, sir.
Just sosmoney.life. We'll be back after this.
You've been listening to The Money Answer Show with Jordan Goodman. If you have a question for Jordan or his guest, please call us now at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now back to Jordan.
Welcome back to The Money Answer Show. This is Jordan Goodman, your host. My guest this hour is Adam Sos Sosnick. He is a money coach. He teaches millennials about money in all kinds of ways. You can find out more about him at his website, sostalksmoney.com. and sosmoney.life. Welcome back to the show, Adam.
Happy to be here, Jordan.
So we're going through the SOS 6, as you call them. The first one we talked about was budgeting. The next one was debt. The third one is save. So particularly for millennials who are so overwhelmed with debt, how can they start a habit of saving, and where should they put their money to get a decent yield at a time when interest rates are so low?
Save that money. That's all I got to say. Really, there's so much to be said when it comes to saving, but the most important thing is just a saver's mentality and understanding the benefit of saving versus spending. So everything that I'm working on, SOS 6 Principles of Wealth and SOS Talks Money, it all just started with me interviewing financial advisors and basically saying, hey, you guys work with the 1% of the 1% a lot of these times that have millions and millions of dollars. What's the number one advice that you would give to millennials? And the most common advice was save that money and understanding the benefit of saving. And if you can save over time and have a saver's mentality over time, the more money you'll have and the more it'll enable you to do with your life. So if the top financial advisors are telling me the number one advice is to save, that's basically how I ended up with the slogan and the theme of my show, which is Save That Money. And
where should people invest it? Save it to get a decent yield these days.
I mean, when people talk about saving, is yield really something that matters? 0%, 1%? What's the difference? Just save. And what I think, when I'm talking about 20 and 30-year-olds is before you start talking about investing, because principle 4 is to invest in appreciating assets, before you can start thinking about investing is learn to save and learn how to handle money in a smart way. And what I say is to save $10,000. Because why? Why $10,000? Essentially, that's a 6 months of emergency fund or a cushion or something that enables you not to sweat the small stuff in your life. Pay your rent, live your life. God forbid something happens, emergency fund. I think in 2020, 10 grand is a very good target to have. And once you can do that, which most Americans can't even do, 50% of Americans don't have $500 for an emergency. But if you can save $10,000, now you're ready to start thinking bigger and start preparing yourself to get into investing. So it's really a mentality.
Yeah.
What's that?
So that's number 4 is investing. So let's move on to that. So if people don't need the money right now, but they want to grow longer term, do you recommend dollar cost averaging? Do you recommend mutual funds, individual stocks? What are ways that people who have small amounts of money but a lot of time can start investing and making it compound?
Sure. So this, number 4, investing, it's no secret that this is really how you can grow your money over time. And this right here, number 4, is the most confusing principle or step for most millennials. When they think of investing, they think of the stock market, they think of Wall Street, they think of bulls and bears and greens and reds and options and recessions, and it's confusing and it's daunting and it's intimidating. And what I aim to do with SOS Money is to simplify investing. And I say you just need to start with the basics, which is, for most Americans, is a 401k or a Roth IRA. And just get that started. A lot of people that I talk to in their 20s and 30s couldn't tell you what a mutual fund is, and really couldn't even tell you the real purpose of a 401k. So just getting started with the basics is so important. And then once you're set up and you understand what your 401k is for or what a Roth IRA is, then you can start getting into more complicated things like dollar cost averaging or index funds or ETFs. But starting with the basics is so important when it comes to investing.
Are there some specific websites or apps that help people get started investing as the way you're describing?
Sure. I mean, I always say talk to your HR department if you have a job, learn what a 401k is, get that match. And if you do not work for a major company, start a Roth IRA. You can go to any major online website. I like Fidelity. I use them. Vanguard is great. There's other investing apps like Acorns and Betterment and Wealthfront that are there to help you. And here's my biggest thing with investing. And, what have I learned in my less than 40 years on this planet? I was sort of obsessed in the 80s and 90s with investing and the movies that were surrounding them, i.e. Wall Street, The Wolf of Wall Street, Boiler Room. These guys were all cold calling investment firm chop shops that people really thought of when they thought of investing. And it turns out that all those people ended up in jail, right? Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street, ended up in jail. The guys on Wall Street ended up in jail. The day trading stockbroker mentality vibe, that's not investing. Investing should not be exciting. Investing should actually be boring. And, what changed my perspective on investing was reading the Boglehead book by Jack Bogle, which is basically the exact opposite of Wolf of Wall Street. It's not exciting. It's basic, but it works. And it's long-term investing, passive investing, index investing, long-term, riding it out. And it really just painted a picture that investing isn't this sexy, amazing intoxicating lifestyle that's painted in the movies. It's really actually boring. It's really the equivalent of watching a tree grow. You don't need to watch it every day to know that your tree's growing. So look back in 30 years and see what that tree has done for you. And most importantly, you don't end up in jail like the 80s and 90s icons.
That's definitely good advice. Number 5 in your SOS 6 is to insure yourself. So there's a lot of different kinds of insurance. What is the insurance that most millennials don't have that they should prioritize amongst all the different insurances out there?
Sure. Principle number 5 is insure and protect yourself and protect your blind side. So that's it. Like the money thing is over 1 through 4. We've budgeted. We've gotten out of debt. We've saved. We're investing. Our money is growing. Now we just have to protect ourselves because, SHIT does happen. And what I talk about with insurance for young people, for sure, is what I also call your big 3 insurance. And that's your health insurance, your life insurance if you have kids or a business, and disability insurance, because your most powerful tool is your income and your ability to work. And if that's taken away from you, what do you do? So make sure you have health insurance, disability insurance, life insurance if you have kids. Everything other than that is sort of a secondary, other than covering yourself.
So let's talk about those individually. Health insurance. So would you go through an exchange? If your employer does not offer health insurance, so say you're self-employed, how is the best way to get health insurance?
So as far as the best way to get health insurance, I'm definitely not the health insurance expert and definitely not the person to recommend the specific, tricks or tactics to get the best rate for your insurance. There's definitely people and websites that can help you with that. I'm just here to tell you that it is important and it is vital, and go get it. And I'm not here to save you $20 a month, but just go get insurance.
And then on life insurance, would you recommend term policies, cash value, some combination, one or the other? For most people, what kind of life insurance would you recommend?
Sure. I mean, I know insurance, life insurance, that's how I got my start, inside and out. And for most 20 and 30-somethings, you need term, and when you think about it again, go with term again. So unless you're making uber money and you're maxing out your 401ks and you're looking for tax havens or long-term benefits of insurance, compounding investing, then you can get whole life or fixed permanent life insurance. For the 30-year-old out there that has a kid and they're just kind of getting their stuff together, go with term. A 20 or 30-year term will do. Don't think about it. Don't question it. Term's the answer.
And what quote engine to get the best term policy do you like?
So there's a lot of companies popping up offering them online. Policy Genius, Select Quote, Haven Life. There's a lot, and there's no one in particular that I recommend. And there's also a lot of life brokerages that I work with. So there's no company that I think is the best out there as of now. But make sure you're shopping around, getting a decent rate. But if you're in your 20s and 30s and you're looking into insurance, it's not that expensive. For a $250,000 policy, maybe you're paying $20 a month, $30 a month. It's not crazy expensive. Shop around, but eventually just decide on a good, reliable carrier that offers a good term policy and just pay those premiums every year. And God forbid you don't need them. You need the debt benefit.
We're going to take another break. This is Jordan Goodman of the Money Answer Show. My guest this hour is Adam Sos Sosnick. He is an expert in financial literacy, particularly aimed at millennials. You can find out more about him at his website, which is sostalksmoney.com, and his new website is sosmoney.life. We'll be back after this.
You've been listening to the Money Answer Show with Jordan Goodman. If you have a question for Jordan or his guest, please call us now at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now back to Jordan.
Welcome back to the Money Answer Show. This is Jordan Goodman, your host. My guest this hour is Adam Sos Sosnick. He is an expert in personal finance, particularly aimed at millennials. You can see more about him at his website, sostalksmoney.com or sosmoney.life. Welcome back to the show, Adam.
Thank you, Jordan.
We were talking about insurance. We covered health insurance and life insurance. The third one was disability insurance. Just talk a little bit about why that's so important and what is a good way to get a good disability insurance policy, particularly if your current employer does not offer one or you're self-employed.
Yeah, I think of I talk about insurers, Principle 5. I think the most obscure and unknown of the types of insurance is disability. A lot of the millennials I talk to don't know about this. And a lot of them don't have kids and don't necessarily even have a full-time employer. So where are they getting 401k? Where are they getting benefits? Where are they getting their insurance? Where are they getting all that good stuff? And for sure, disability is one of those things that slips under the radar. So ultimately what it comes down to is asking the question, if you do not have the ability to work for a long period of time, how are you going to have money? What are you going to do? And the answer for most people is they don't know. And hopefully they have a family friend or someone that will take care of them, but often not time. So disability is real, and I've experienced it in my life. My father was disabled. He was born with cerebral palsy. We got disability checks my whole life. But for most young people, just understanding that there's this concept called disability insurance, and if something happens to you, whether you get it through your employer or whether outside of your employer, understanding that if you're not able to work and make income, what would you do? And if you don't know the answer to that, is you need to look into disability.
Are there some apps or websites that people can go to find disability policies that you like?
Yes, I like healthiq.com. That's a cool new company that's popped up, and Policy Genius as well. But there's also a lot of, in your city or states, a lot of local life brokerages that offer disability. If you Google it, I'm sure you'll find something, but I don't have any particular one go-to. As long as you're inquiring, that's a good thing.
Very good. And then your sixth of your SOS 6 is what you call chillin'. So what do you mean by chilling, and what is the best way for people to chill?
Let's talk about chilling. Of course. So how I ultimately came to the concept of chilling was that it really started from me asking what retirement really is. And at least for millennials, retirement is this far out, antiquated term that really doesn't really hold water anymore, because anyone who's successful, I ask them what they do, if with their thoughts on retirement or what they do with their free time now that they're retired, and nobody does nothing. Nobody does nothing all day. The concept of retirement and sitting in a rocking chair or just playing golf all day no longer holds water. So what I've basically realized is that I asked people, if you owned your time and you were chilling with money and your money was good, what would you do with your free time? And most people answered the same 3 or 4 things. Most people said that they would travel. Most people said that they would work on something they're passionate about or a hobby that they love that they would even do for free. Most people said that they would give back or work towards something, a charity or helping people. And lastly, what I asked the wealthiest is that they wanted to leave a legacy. And whether that was giving or foundational or philanthropic. And that's really what it came down to. So ultimately, nobody does nothing. And the whole goal, whether you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 80, is to just be chilling. And chilling is when you own your time. You don't have to really answer to anybody. You wake up when you want to wake up. You don't have to rush out the door. And you're just chilling. So that is what I call the new retirement.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about the money coaching that you do, taking these 6 principles and putting them into action and personalizing for your clients. How does that whole process work?
Sure. So, when I started my show, it was just that, a show. Sos Talks Money, and I went out there and I was talking to anyone and everyone about money, and I started interviewing financial advisors and then a lot of my celebrity friends and NBA players and ballers and rappers and college students and anyone and everyone. And, the one question that I got from everyone was like, what are you doing with this show? How are you making money? And my answer was, I didn't do this for money. I have a real job. I did this just because I wanted to do it. But ultimately, I had to start a business. That's what this was gravitating towards. So I started SOS Money, which is a financial literacy company. And below that is we started a money coaching platform. So basically what I realized was most people, they equate money and financial advice to financial advisors, and they equate financial advisors to the 1%. And what I've realized in starting this show is that money advice is not just for the 1%, it's for everyone. So I've started this money coaching platform for the 99%. And this money coaching platform, it costs $99 for the 99%. And with it, myself or one of our money coaches who work under our SOS Money Coaching will walk you through these 6 principles of wealth, teach you these 6 principles, make you have a deep understanding of these 6 principles, and then we write out all your information on what's called your money game plan, and we write it all out, and you get in a hour call with a money coach to walk you through what you're doing. So ultimately, it's a combination of a few things. These 6 principles, learning these 6 principles, writing your stuff down, actually taking the time to write out what your net worth is and where your status is, and then getting on a call with a money coach who can sit there and take time to go over a lot of these principles with you, which for most millennials, they've never had a conversation with a financial advisor, much less a money coach. So it's a lot of times mind-blowing and cathartic and helpful, and it's for $99 for the 99%.
So for most people who want to find out about that, they can go to sostalksmoney.com. Is that right?
Yes, but eventually in the next month or so, we're going to be directing everyone to sosmoney.life, and that's where you can sign up for money coaching.
Great. Okay, I want to talk about some other topics. So one of the things millennials have been fascinated about is cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, which started off low. It soared to 20,000. It plunged to 3,000. Now it's back to 8,000. Do you think people should be investing, or speculating maybe is the better word, in cryptos? And if so, is it Bitcoin or are there others that you'd like?
When it comes to crypto and Bitcoin and bitty bops and all the woozies and wazies that exist out there in the crypto world, what I recommend for most people is do not invest more than 5 to 10% of your entire net worth into this wild ancillary currency that you're just not sure of what will end up happening. So I've invested in crypto. I've taken a small percentage of my net worth, 5%, and put it in the crypto world, and it's been a complete roller coaster. And for people who have not invested before, because I know many young people who their only investment in this world is in Bitcoin and crypto. They don't have a Roth IRA, they don't have a 401k, they don't have a mutual fund, they have no U.S. stock market exposure, but they have crypto. And they're learning the hard way that there's the benchmark for the U.S. economy and money is the U.S. stock market, and that's the first stop. And crypto should be a 3rd, 4th, or 5th stop, not your major game plan. And I've seen many people completely just make money, lose money, and be completely chewed up and spit out by crypto. So proceed with caution. But
if you were to
long term, I am a believer in blockchain, but short term, it's going to be a wild ride.
If you were to do it, is there a particular exchange, Coinbase or Gemini or something that you would recommend as a way for people to put that 5% into crypto?
I don't have a horse in the crypto race. What I will say is my best friend and my producer of my show, he is the producer of CNBC's Crypto Trader. So if I'm going to plug any crypto, it's going to be CNBC's Crypto Trader. Go learn about crypto there, and that's a good starting point before you start investing.
Very good. So on your website, you have many interviews you've done with a wide variety of people. Let's just start with athletes a little bit. So you did, for example, Kelly Olynyk, I guess is the Miami Heat player. What have you learned?
Kelly Olynyk from the Miami Heat.
What have you learned from talking to athletes that can apply to the rest of us? They've got these millions of dollars, but often short careers. What can people learn from athletes that others can learn from?
What can people learn from athletes? Wow. I can flip that around and say, what can athletes learn from normal people, too? Because a lot of these athletes, they're normal. They just happen to be getting a bigger paycheck for a handful of years, and then a handful of years later, they might not be getting that big paycheck. So, I have a lot of friends that play in the NBA, and I don't manage their money, but I do talk to them about money a lot. And this money needs to last them the rest of their life. And granted, if you're in the NBA and you're making millions, it should. Unfortunately, we've seen all too often that it doesn't. And poor money management skills doesn't, it's universal. So whether you're making millions a year or, thousands a year, poor money management skills can be the death of you. So
what is
you
the
asked
specific,
about Kelly.
What is the bad money management skill that athletes who have these millions of dollars, how do they lose it so quickly?
In no particular order, cars, jewelry, clothes, houses, shady businesses, girls, the list goes on. And a lot of it just comes down to depreciating assets and not understanding appreciating assets. And, if you're 20 years old and you've never made $1 in your life and your first paycheck is for $1 million, how the hell are you going to act when you get your first million? So if you have smart people in your corner that, can help you budget, again, starting with the SAVETHATMONEY 6 Principles of Wealth, understanding that what your budget is and understanding what you can spend in rent, and you don't need to necessarily buy a $10 million crib. And just getting basic foundation is oftentimes just the best thing. And from there, they can, hopefully not have any debt or pay off debt and understand saving and understand investing. And obviously a lot of these athletes need disability insurance and get health insurance through work. And, walking athletes through these 6 principles of wealth translates as well. So they're just like us. They sometimes might have an extra zero at the end of their paycheck, but they still need to implement these 6 principles of wealth as well.
Very good. We're going to take another break. This is Jordan Goodman of the Money Answer Show. My guest this hour is Adam Sos Sosnick. He is a personal finance expert in educating particularly millennials. You can find out more at his website, which is sostalksmoney.com and also sosmoney.life. We'll be back after this.
You've been listening to The Money Answer Show with Jordan Goodman. If you have a question for Jordan or his guest, please call us now at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now back to Jordan.
Welcome back to The Money Answer Show. This is Jordan Goodman, your host. My guest this hour is Adam Sos Sosnick. He is a personal finance educator. He coaches millennials. You can find out more at his website, sostalksmoney.com or sosmoney.life. Welcome back to the show, Adam.
Fourth quarter, Jordan. Let's do it. Let's finish strong.
So we're going to do the lightning round, I guess you might say here. You've talked to lots of different people, so just kind of give me a quick thing about what you learned from each one of them that might be helpful to the audience. So one of them is a guy named Jason Stone, who is the millionaire mentor. What are the things you learned from Jason Stone?
Wow, yeah, Jason Stone, good buddy of mine. He is a sharp guy from Ohio. I met him down here in Miami, and he started a couple social media pages, one by the name of The Millionaire Mentor, and he's racked up, I think, 4 or 5 million viewers, subscribers. He's crushing it, but his the thing that stands out to me about Jason is he's got a business mindset and he saves to invest in his new businesses. And that's the one thing I took from Jason was saving to invest in his businesses.
You also talked to Tariq Sharif of Rolling Loud.
Oh, Tariq Sharif, co-founder of Rolling Loud, yes.
So what did you learn from him?
That's a cool dude right there. He's a local guy that grew up in South Florida. We have mutual friends, and him and his partner, Matt Zingler, they started off as hip-hop club promoters 10 years ago. Now they are the preeminent hip-hop festival concerts in this country, possibly the world, massive. And what I would remember about Tariq Sharif is that is a humble, low-key dude. He is definitely not seeping hip-hop. He's not dripping in gold and diamonds. He likes wearing hoodies and keeping it real cool and casual, and that stood out to me about his interview is that in the world of hip-hop where it's all about stunting and flossing and, bravado, he's just a very subtle dude of chill character, and I respect that.
Then you talked to somebody who opened a successful South Beach, Florida bar. What did you learn from somebody who runs a successful South Beach bar?
So, I interviewed a guy by the name of Keith Menon, who's one of my best friends, and he is one of the biggest hospitality and nightlife guys in South Beach, and we did a segment. And what did I learn from Keith? Other than the fact that I've saved probably millions of dollars drinking for free my whole life in all his bars, what I've learned from Keith is that he has a real business plan to every venue that he opens. He's not loosey-gooseying, trying to open up a bar and look cool and hope to make money. It's a full, thought-out game plan, and he plugs it all in, and it's really impressive what he's built. And for anybody that wants to learn about hospitality and business, the name Keith Menon is a good name to know.
Then you talked with a financial advisor to the Orthodox Jewish community. What did you learn from him?
Wow, that was a great interview with pseudo-rabbi, a financial advisor from Brooklyn. What I learned from him was the basics still work, and the stuff that is talked about in the Bible or the Torah, depending on your religion, of saving and staying out of debt and just being smart with money still rings true. And if it's good enough for the Orthodox Jewish community when it comes to money, it certainly should be good enough for us regular folk.
And then you crashed the White House Correspondents' Dinner. What did you learn from that?
Crashing the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Yeah, that was awesome. I was in D.C. for another event, a financial event. I was dressed up in a nice suit, and I was staying at the hotel that the White House Correspondents' Dinner was at. And I got mistaken as a somebody, Jordan, as I'm sure you get mistaken for all the time, being a celebrity like yourself. And I was whisked away into the reporter's row or whatever. I ended up befriending some lovely ladies from CNN, ended up having a cocktail with them. Next thing you know, I'm in the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and I documented it as best as I could, and it was pretty cool, meeting a lot of political insiders and broadcasters. It was awesome.
And then you interviewed Inky Johnson on the meaning of life. What did you learn from that one?
Inky Johnson was a big-time football player for the University of Tennessee, and on a particular play many years ago, he went to make an interception and a tackle, and he became paralyzed. And now he is a motivational speaker. He still has the use of the majority of his body, but one of his hands is simply there, but basically doesn't work. And he says that he's thankful for this injury. This guy could have gone and made millions in the NFL, but he has a deeper perspective on life now, and he goes around motivating people to just live life to their fullest and be smart. It was a very, very impactful episode, and I deal with a lot of people who are trying to make it in sports and try to make it there, and this guy is happy he didn't, and it was amazing to interview a guy like that, Inky Johnson.
Then you met Montana Tucker, who was a dancer that you met at a dream.
Montana Tucker, yeah, of course.
What did you learn from Montana?
What did I learn from Montana? Montana is a sweetheart. She's a good friend of mine. I've known her for, 7, 8 years now. And when I met her, she was a young 20-year-old partying in South Beach. And she always had a knack for wanting to dance and sing. So, again, in my former world in nightlife, you'd meet a lot of these amazing people. And Montana started off with very few followers and very few believers, and she just tried and tried and tried, and now she is super massive and is a major influencer, dancer, singer extraordinaire, and she just went for it. And what I took from her was just go for something you want, and there's going to be times where you'll doubt yourself or people will doubt you, and she kept going, and now she's doing dance videos with J-Lo, so keep going, whatever you're working for. She's a prime example of go for what you want and it'll happen.
And finally, you met Romero Brito in talking about up-and-coming
Romero
artists.
Brito, yes.
What did you learn from them?
So, what I always say is all roads lead to Miami. Either you want a vacation here, you want to live here, or you live here, and a lot of these things happen in Miami. And I met Romero Brito during a happiness summit down here in Miami, of all things. And coincidentally, it's also right around the time where there's something called Art Basel, which is one of the biggest art events in the world down here in Miami in December coming up. And Romero is a icon here in Miami, an art icon from Brazil, but is all about America and makes beautiful, exciting, incredible art. And he talked about just pursuing your passion. And, if you're doing what you love, hopefully business-wise you can fill in the blanks from there, but that's always an awesome start, doing what you love. And he loved to do art, and he's turned it into business, and he's as good as it gets around here in Miami, for sure, worldwide, too.
In about a minute we have left, why don't you kind of sum up the difference it'll make if people follow your advice, follow the SOS 6, to make their financial lives better?
So in summary, here's what I would say. The SOS 6 principles of wealth, these are timeless principles. Every book I've read and every person I've interviewed, something has fallen under one of these 6 principles, with the exception that chillin' is the new retirement. And if you can implement these 6 principles, you can win with money. Most people that I talk to are 1 for 6, 2 for 6. The goal, if you can be 6 for 6, not 100 different things, you can be chillin'. And my biggest takeaway is, back in the 80s and 90s, there was a slogan, and correct me if you know this, Jordan, and it was, "He who dies with the most toys wins." And
yes.
Recently I saw an article in the Washington Post that said, "He who dies with the most toys now loses." And I thought about that. And for 2020, the old rules are out, the new rules are in, and it's all about he or she who lives with the highest flexibility and the lowest overhead is now who wins. So don't get buried down in material things. Stay flexible. Keep it moving. Implement these 6 principles. Save that money, and you'll win with money, for sure.
Very good. Okay, well, thanks so much. My guest this hour has been Adam Sosnick. He is a financial literacy expert. You can find out more at his website, sostalksmoney.com, or his new website, sosmoney.life. Thanks so much for being on the Money Answer Show, Adam.
Pleasure's all here, Jordan. Thank you so much.
Thanks again, and we'll be back next week with another edition of the Money Answer Show. Goodbye for now.
Thank you for joining Jordan Goodman and the Money Answer Show. If you have a question for Jordan, please visit his website at www.moneyanswers.com. And be sure to tune in every Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on Voice America Business. See you next week.